It's like even hanging out at a comedy club or whatever around certain guys was like, I'd rather get in the car and go home.
I'm still like that.
But in the radio station, you formed a community. You formed a family of like 8 to 10 guys who all, and I'm not just saying this because you know me, I'll tell it the way it is. They all love you. And in the past, one of your biggest, hardest things is you haven't had the 10,000 hours around that kind of environment before. So people say, well, he performs in front of a lot of people. He knows how to deal with people. But no, you don't exactly know 1,000% how to deal with a group of people every day coming to work and doing it. And you've never been somebody who's like, I wouldn't say that's been your strength. And
you
so
mean
now,
as opposed to performing for 1,000 people in a theater, you mean in a workplace where 12 people work for me?
That's
like
right.
Mohr Sports, the TV show.
That's right. But you know, the odd thing is, none of those people in there feel that they work for you.
That's true.
They feel that they work with you.
Yeah.
And they're all stars. Even, you know, the guy, the head of nothing, Victor Villamonte or whatever the hell.
He does Vito, the Intercontinental
so
almost
it's like
champion.
all
the
these people.
Does a lot of work, that guy.
All these people you've made like stars in their not stars, but their family, their friends, they're mentioned,
cast members.
Yes, and that you form this community where they feel like you respect them, even when you.
Well, I do respect them.
Again, but the point is, in the past, when you've been around people in those situations, a lot of times you haven't navigated or known how to navigate as well as you are now. And I'm really, really blown away of how it works and how these. I'm behind the scenes. These guys, like, they revere you. They talk about a certain radio broadcaster who did a morning show here that when he walked through the hallways, you couldn't even look him in the eye and say hi to him. They were, you know, there was no camaraderie. Jay Thomas and the puppet.
What is the number one way comedians get in their own way?
Aha, Jay Mohr. This is the number one way they get in their own way. Sadly, it's about trauma that happened to them early on in their life.
What?
That's right, buddy. Trauma. And they let the traumas that happen to them early on in their life, whether it be a divorce or somebody doing something horrible to them or whatever it is, they carry that pain with them. And comedy is the alternative for heroin. So they go on stage and they do their comedy, they get acceptance, and it's this rush of high. It's like, you know, just shooting up or whatever drug you feel it's going to be. And then that fills that hole, that empty hole that's been shot and gutted out of you from that incident or something that happened in your life that made you feel like an insignificant piece of shit and that you didn't have any control in your life. And so you got that hole, and then you go on stage and you get that rush and it fills the hole, and then the hole goes away and you're feeling like postpartum depression and you have to go back up again. And what I equate that to is this, if you'll oblige me. This is a weird concept, but hold on here for a second. So pretend that when you're a young kid, when you first remember, you got a backpack strapped to your back. And pretend that every time something happens to you, some kid beats you up in the schoolyard. You take an apple, you put it in your bag, you zip it up. 3 months later, some kid calls you a faggot in front of some friends, and you're like embarrassed. Put another thing. Parents get divorced when you're 5 years old. Put some more fruit in.
Putting fruit, you're using an analogy of every time something bad happens to you,
right.
Put fruit in your backpack as a kid.
Stay with me.
I'm with you.
Okay. So every time something happens and you're 10 years old, your
parents get divorced.
Whatever, parents get divorced. Let's say you're at a baseball and you strike out with a baseball.
I put it in my backpack.
Yeah. So then you get to later on in life. Imagine 10 years later, 15 years later, you have the backpack full of fruit. Well, what is it? It's all rotten and you're carrying it around all the time. And that's when you see performers, you can feel the heaviness. Almost every performer that you do a podcast with, you can see the heaviness. There's a heaviness that's there, even with the most brilliant people who shall remain nameless. And they can't seem to stop forgetting. They'll refer to something. You had a podcast with a young comedian who's incredibly funny, Jen Murphy. great on stage, incredible. But when you're around her, and I'm sure you probably noticed, there's like a heaviness because that's what drives her comedy. But she keeps going back to it, and so she keeps holding that thing on. So those things that happen are the things that hold her back. But if she just takes the fucking backpack, empties it out, throws out the fruit in the backpack, and starts right there from 0-0 with a new attitude, never goes back to thinking about those shitty things that happen, and say, oh, whether it's like, hey, my boyfriend's always dumped me, or I always screw this up, or
It's funny you use that as an example, because the Jen Murphy podcast, we didn't do much comedy. We went down the road. It was funny in the beginning, and then we went down the road talking about feeling alone and feeling depressed and feeling isolated.
So there it is. It's
But what if you're born that way? What if it's not a backpack? Because sometimes it's just the way your hard drive is installed. What if you're just born depressed with low self-esteem?
You want to know something? A lot of people are born with bad eyesight, and they go to the doctor and they get a prescription to get their eyes normal. And so if you're having problems with depression or whatever you're having, you can work through it if you take as much time to fix the problem with doctors, psychologists, and some kind of medication that works trial and error that you do working on your career, you'll be fine. But a lot of comics, they don't do it because they feel like oh God, if I have to take that pill, what does that say about me? I have to take a fucking pill to feel good? They don't realize that, and so they don't want to do it. They don't want to be in a situation where something else is controlling them. They want to feel like, hey, I have control. I can beat this. I know this, and then a day goes into a month goes into a year goes into 5 years, 10 years, and then you end up being Richard Jenny.
Jesus, Katz. Richard Jenny killed himself.
Because of depression.
I just kind of bummed this all out.
Sorry, but it's important.
It's a salient point.
The point is that you ask what gets in comedians' ways.
I know.
And what gets in comedians' ways are the things that happen to them early in their life that they carry on with them later. And that you said, oh, I say the wrong thing. Well, you say the wrong thing because something happened back then that made you say the wrong thing. I mean, it's not something that you just were born with saying the wrong thing. It's like, it's something that's acquired.
Every Tuesday you can see me at the Melrose Improv. Angie, when will this episode be out? Around. Next, can you give me a number? Come see me at the Denver Comedy Works May 9th, May 10th, and May 11th. Denver Comedy Works, May 9th, May 10th, May 11th. So if this comes out the 12th, that means you can come see me at the Melrose Improv on the 16th of April. And then on the 23rd, I'm at the Hollywood Improv on Melrose. Go to improv.com. Quickly, eVoice is the reason you're going to make more money in 2013. Would you like to make more money this year, Katz? Would you like to make a little more?
I could use a little more, yes.
When your customers call, you'll have your own toll-free number, professional greeting, dial-by-name directory, and more. You're going to sound like a Fortune 500 guy, blow away your competitors. eVoice lets you give out one number that rings wherever you are. The beach, the bar, won't matter because you're going to sound like you're at the office. You got to go to evoice.com and use promo code J. What you don't know about Katz is the beach is his office. eVoice even takes all your voicemails, transcribes them, and sends them to you instantly as a text or email. Don't fast forward over this ad because you're going to love what I ask Barry Katz next. Check voicemails before the meeting ends and don't look rude doing it. You look like a boss because you'll have the info because you got it because of eVoice. It's only $10 a month. Right now, my listeners, More Stories, Warriors, can try eVoice free for 6 months. That's right, 6-month free trial. Support Fake Mustache Studio. Stop what you're doing. Hit pause. Set up your eVoice free trial and go see what I'm talking about. Go to eVoice.com, promo code JAY. eVoice.com, promo code J. One more time, eVoice.com's promo code J, or go to jmoore.com and click the eVoice banner right now. Barry Katz, why don't you tell our listeners what happened the first time you ever got a blowjob? You didn't know. I remember that story.
Holy shit.
Tuesdays, Melrose Improv. Come see me, you creeps. Katz.
Yes.
It's the best story in the world.
You really want me to tell that story?
Yeah, fuck yeah. It's amazing.
Oh, my God.
If you can get people into the Melrose Improv, fill it up, Warriors. The 16th of April. I'm going to be at the Melrose Improv, 23rd as well. Make reservations. That takes all the stress and anxiety, and it'll take away the nervousness. I think maybe you got it backwards. I think I should open with old shit. Like I should open with Tracy Morgan, Norm Macdonald, and then go into the new shit, and then touch old stuff again on the way out.
Yeah, how many people pay attention after Springsteen does does Born to Run and then rolls out with a new bit?
I ain't Springsteen, dude.
I know you aren't.
You know why I don't make people bring fucking canned goods to my concerts? What an asshole. Hey, Bruce, you're the billionaire. How about you bring a can of Jif to your own concert? I just spent $400 on Springsteen tickets. I got to walk in with a fucking can of green beans? Didn't I do my part by supporting my Springsteen habit? That's one of the new bits. See?
You know what's a funny
That's
word?
not a good look for me, rolling in with 6 cans of tuna and fucking Peter Pan peanut butter. Apparently my favorite charity is you. Because every time you come to town, I give you all my excess dough. And it's not a write-off, asshole.
You remember those words on the show Action? That was one of the greatest scenes I love, when you visited Jared Paul in the hospital room, and you were talking about words that are funny. Bumper, funny. Fender, not funny.
Yeah.
You know, I was just thinking when you were saying that, 2 words that would be funny in that bit: Del Monte.
Del Monte green beans. It'll never not get said from here on out. I don't want to walk in with 6 cans of Del Monte green beans. That's not a good look for me. Tell the listeners of more stories, the Warriors. And by the way, my new website's going to be up and rolling too. There's a lot of exposition in this podcast, but you guys need to know the inside scoop. There's going to be a new website, jmohr.com. It could be better, and it's going to be better. And there's going to be an Ultimate Warrior package that you guys are going to be very excited about. It's going to cost you some money. I'm taking the Tim Ferriss approach. He said, throw something out there. Charge people $250 or something for new content. Even if only 10% of your listeners go, what's the risk?
Well, some people do it that way, and some people do it subscription for a lower monthly fee. It just depends on what you feel like doing.
Well, the subscriptions I found, I wanted to raise the price on the subscription for locked up episodes, but I have to split that with the server. So I'd be giving Libsyn more money. But what I can do is do a box set. I choose like the 10 greatest episodes, because on the website I'll always have like, what's your favorite one of the month? Have those, and then I'll do liner notes, and I'll do like an extensive breakdown of each episode. That'd be cool.
No, I think that's good. I just think that, whatever you do, just remember how you feel, and everybody wants to feel like they get the most value. So whatever you do, figure out the best way to give it the most value for everybody. And
I'll send them a fake mustache.
I know you'll do that.
I'll come to their house, shake their hand, and hand them a fake mustache. I'll give them this laurel and hearty handshake and say thanks for listening.
75th anniversary.
Let's talk about your first blowjob in college.
I'm really stunned that you're getting into this. This is why you don't sometimes talk about personal stuff with people you've known for 24 years. I was a late bloomer. I didn't go to my prom. I didn't go.
Let's talk about the blowjob, Kat. You don't need a lot of run up to this story. This is pretty nuts.
So when I went and got to Boston University, I had a job at the Candy and Information Center, and there was this
Candy
and Information Center at the George.
So I can get a Jolly Rancher and directions to the restaurant.
That's right, and
Jesus.
It was at the George Sherman Union at Boston University. And my boss was a guy who had that fetish with Asian women. I don't know what you call white guys that always go out with Asian women, but every woman.
Why don't you ask Angie? He's got a Korean girl.
Oh,
Yellow fever.
So every single girl that was hired was like, an Asian person, and there was me, like literally like a line of cocaine in a urinal. So. So.
By the way, don't think I didn't see you fucking constructing that shit. That's a fucking old black joke, and you reworked it for an Asian joke. I look like a line of cocaine on a black album cover.
Anyways,
I saw your gears grinding.
They were grinding. I'm old. So anyway, there was this girl named Irene there, and she was a cool.
Was it Eileen, and she couldn't say it right, or was it really Irene?
I don't even know now. That's weird. And so I could see you constructing that one too.
No way, man. That was out of the riff gun. I'm opening with that today for foolishness. Hey, how many Asians we got here tonight? Anybody name Irene? Gage.
So anyway, I'm there with her. I'm working late one night, and she just